Wow, after all this time, we have finally seen some gameplay for Tears of the Kingdom. Eiji Aonuma showed off roughly 10 minutes of gameplay for us, but in typical Legend of Zelda fashion, there are still tons of mysteries to discover. I wanted to make this video just to skim the surface of this gameplay, and later on I'll make a super in-depth video covering some of the things that are not so easy to spot here in this gameplay, so be sure to subscribe here to the channel so you don't miss that. Without wasting any more time, let's go ahead and dive right in. Aonuma started this whole thing off by confirming that development for this game is complete. This is super refreshing to hear. So if you were worried that there would be a delay or something, that worry is gone. One thing he also mentioned that really sets the tone for this whole thing was that this is only a brief glimpse. And if you've watched this already, you're going to be thinking to yourself, what do you mean a brief glimpse? This thing was wild. This was crazy. Now, I know that there's tons of controversy about this specific part, but I have to mention it straight out the gate anyways. In this gameplay, Aonuma solely played as the quote old-timey or past or long-haired Link, whatever you want to call him. Obviously, this could just be an outfit and they're just messing with us, but after seeing some of these Sky Islands up close and personal, it has a theory brewing in my brain. I'll touch a bit on that later on in this video, but I won't go too in depth. When he goes through the field, there's new enemies off in the distance here, but I can't really see what they are. I think they are the same construct enemies we'll see when he gets to the Sky Islands, as they do look pretty similar. A Korok is shown here that seems to have fallen backwards, so Korok's confirmed in this game, but this one does seem to be carrying a backpack. It seems to be sort of a side quest where you'll have to help him reach his friend, and I think that part is super cool. Ashley and I have been talking about it, and I wonder if they're changing the finding the Koroks to making the Koroks a side quest, as we do see a leaf being attached to Link's bow later on in the gameplay. And even though this does look a lot like Breath of the Wild Hyrule, Aonuma assured us that this is not the same world as is. Apparently a lot has changed. These above that we've seen for so long are obviously called Sky Islands, and the stuff falling from the sky that we've seen in older trailers are one way you'll be able to get up to these Sky Islands. You can do this by using Link's ability to rewind time. We've actually seen this in an older trailer as well. This new ability is called Recall. Once he gets to the top, he mentions that there are lots of ways to reach the Sky Islands. Now, as soon as he says that, it shows a dragon. This may just be a coincidence, but oh my gosh, imagine being able to ride the dragons in this game. The way the camera pans, it makes it super suspicious, but who knows. On the Sky Islands, he states that just like on the surface, there are man-made structures on the Sky Islands. Clearly, these aren't just some random floating pieces of dirt. People live here or have lived here. He said we won't see many of these specific trees on the surface though, and now to me, it seems like these Sky Islands are from somewhere else, not from the same Hyrule we all know. This just further makes me think that there's some past and future theme going on in this game, or either another realm and then the realm we all know going on in this game. Especially since he subtly mentioned we won't see many of these trees on the surface. Why else would he say that? Why are these trees so different than the trees we know from Hyrule? If nothing else, it totally disproves one of my old theories that these Sky Islands were ripped from Hyrule, creating dungeons in the ground. It's clear that these Sky Islands are not from Hyrule. They look totally different, the foliage is different, and later on we'll see a very specific item Link picks up that could further prove this. We're introduced to a brand new enemy called a construct. We see that these weapons still break, but it's not all that bad if you hated the weapons breaking mechanic. You can fuse your weapons together with other objects with the new ability called Fuse. I love this. This is so cool. A lot of other weapons can be fused together as well. We do see a long stick and a pitchfork being fused, making a super long weapon that you can attack your enemy from a long range. I love that. That is awesome. Now, once Link kills some of these constructs, we see him picking up items, the same way you would if you killed Bokoblins or Lizalfoses in Breath of the Wild. But did you catch this? He picks up Zonai items called Zonai Charge. I think this could possibly mean that the Zonai created these machines, which makes me think that whatever these Sky Islands are connected to the Zonai. And if connected to the Zonai, a mysterious race who, as described in Breath of the Wild, appear to have vanished a long time ago, clearly these Sky Islands are coming from somewhere else. And it's not clear if the Zonai died or just disappeared into some other realm. And is that realm or either the past somehow coming into the Sky Islands? And if it is another realm, maybe it's a more heavenly type of realm, which would explain why it's in the sky. Symbolism. And maybe that's why it's been speculated that this figure here in this drawing from an older trailer is Hylia herself. Or maybe this isn't even Hylia at all, but is instead a Zonai figure. Now that I can relate these Sky Islands to being Zonai Sky Islands because of the item Link picks up, I'm feeling more like this figure is not Hylia herself, but is more like a godlike figure for the Zonai. In the drawing, they are floating on a landmass, so it really ties it all together. We now see that Link can fuse arrows as well as weapons, weapons, and you can use Keith's eyeballs to track enemies. We've seen this in an old trailer, and I didn't know that this was just a new type of arrow or what, but it's cool to see that it actually works by fusing your arrows with Keith's eyeballs. There's a new mushroom called a puff shroom, which you can attach to your shield, and I think one thing that's so cool is that all of these items being able to be attached is an amazing way to make use of a lot of the items we never even used in Breath of the Wild. That was one complaint I saw so many people making, and it's something I ran into as well. I had so many seemingly useless items in my inventory. Now I'll just be able to attach those items to my weapons or to my bow or to my shield. Ultra Hand allows you to attach stuff together, but you can also detach it. This is how we'll make the vehicles and stuff that we've seen in the older trailers. The fans here seem to have batteries. Maybe this is what's linked to the Zonai charge item that Link picked up earlier. It's very interesting. Clearly there has to be some form of limitation for these items so they don't just last forever, but it does seem that the battery does recharge when he stops, which would make using an item to recharge pointless, so who knows. But it does pique my interest that it is shown in battery form, because I feel like batteries don't really fit the Breath of the Wild theme. I feel like the time period just doesn't allow for batteries. It's very, very different. Now, after Aonuma crosses this body of water, he jumps off the makeshift boat, and what do we see? An NPC that looks similar to a construct. We know it's an NPC because he has the ability to talk to it. We also see the same type of NPC in a cave later on in the gameplay. Now, I don't know what this is. I don't know why we have to fight some of these constructs, but we can talk to this specific one and the one in the cave. It's definitely not a construct because they don't look exactly the same, but it does look like it has the same sort of makeup. This specific NPC has the same logo we see on the craftable items on its chest, the same bulbs that we see on this creature in an older trailer that also has the same logo on it, and also has the same bulbs on the car that Link crafts in the older trailer. And it also has a tiered-like structure like this building we've all pointed out in these past trailers, as well as the image of this figure in the cave painting from the older trailer. This just further makes me think this isn't Hylia, but is instead a Zonai. And it's clear that this species has to be something to do with the main story of the game. We also see a stand bulb, which is a new item shown off here, and then they show off Link going through the ceiling, which we have seen before. But he doesn't just show off that you can do it through small ceilings. He shows off that you can even do it inside of a cave and go through an entire mountain. This new ability is called Ascend. And I picked up on this while he was talking about it. He mentioned, imagine you're stuck in a cage. Now, that's kind of a weird scenario to mention. This may be a hint to some sort of dungeon we will go through later, or maybe something to do with the main story. After all this, he said there was a lot of new gameplay mysteries and encounters they couldn't show in the gameplay. He mentioned that it would take all day to show everything. Now, it's kind of crazy to me considering that both Ashley and I sat with our jaws dropped as we watched this on our couch this morning, and were just blown away by the amount of stuff that was revealed and just how amazing it actually was. But if you think about it, a lot of the stuff in this gameplay are things that they did subtly show off in past trailers. It's clear that they want to keep a lot of this game a secret, and they subtly mentioned that all throughout the gameplay reveal. Even though this gameplay had me mind blown, it is true that this is just showing off up close things that we've already seen. But hearing that there's even more than this is insane. This game seems like it's going to be massive, and if you just think about the fuse mechanic alone, it's going to create some insane gameplay, and there's going to be amazing YouTube videos out there in the coming months. They also dropped the Switch, Pro Controller, and carrying case specific for Tears of the Kingdom after all of this, and can I just say, this looks amazing. Nintendo is really getting me with all of these. Do Ashley not need another Switch? No. But tell me why I feel like we have to buy this one. Now, looking at the design of the Switch, I'm wondering if maybe this is a hint to some themes for the game. There are the typical sharp line designs here on one side, as well as circles on the other. This is a stark contrast to each other. We've seen the sharp lines a lot throughout these past trailers, but these circles seem kind of new. Sort of the way the Sky Islands as well as Hyrule seem to be contrasted to each other. I seriously can't shake the feeling that there seems to be two time periods or two realms coming together to play in this game. And I think that's why they keep hinting with the two totally different looking Links. Not necessarily that it is two Links, but that maybe it's just two outfits that are clearly from two different time periods or two different realms. And I think this OLED design is hitting toward that as well. Obviously, we won't know until the game releases, but either way, I love this theme and the art and just everything about the Tears of the Kingdom aesthetic. Like I said, be on the lookout for more videos here on the channel looking more in depth at this Tears of the Kingdom gameplay, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. You guys have an amazing day, and God bless.